Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into the new Strategic Seasonal Assessment. It's looking at winter 2025-2026, covers West Russia, the North Caucasus, and West Siberia. And the initial read, well, it seems a bit concerning.
Yes, it does. The integrated data, basically how global patterns connect, it's pointing pretty clearly to a significantly heightened risk profile compared to the last few winters. We're forecasting a colder season, yes, but also one with high volatility across these key areas.
Right, high volatility. And our mission here is to unpack what the sources call this triple threat of global mechanisms driving this shift. Because, and this is the interesting part, the main oceanic driver, La Nina, it's forecast as active, but, well, relatively weak. So why the big risk increase?
That's the crucial point. It's not about one single powerful driver this time. It's more about constructive interference. You have three factors kind of lining up. First, the La Nina, it's there. Projected through the core winter months, December, January, February. Active but weak, as you said. But the real kicker, the thing driving the volatility, is its projected fading phase later in the winter.
Okay, fading. When exactly are we talking about?
We're looking at late January, maybe into early February. That specific window, it just ramps up the forecast uncertainty hugely, creates really chaotic circulation patterns, and that's when West Russia, for example, sees a much, much higher risk of those ice rains, destructive freezing rain.
Because you get clashes, warm air hitting cold.
Exactly. Rapid clashes between incoming Atlantic moisture and the deep cold already in place. Very disruptive.
Volatility is the key then. Okay, what about factor two? The upper atmosphere. The reports mention the QBO quasi-biennial oscillation shifting to easterly. Now, for listeners maybe not tracking stratospheric winds day to day, why does an easterly QBO matter? What does that do?
Right. So think of the QBO as sort of a high-altitude control knob for the polar vortex. The polar vortex, that big circulation that usually keeps the really frigid Arctic air locked up over the pole. When the QBO goes into this easterly phase, historically it tends to, let's say, loosen the grip. It correlates strongly with a disturbed, less stable polar vortex.
Less stable, meaning the cold air isn't bottled up as tightly, it can spill south more easily.
Precisely. It makes it easier for that deep Arctic chill to get transported southward into places like Siberia and Russia. And then anchoring all this is the third driver, the Siberian high, that huge continental high-pressure system.
Which is already looking quite robust this year.
It is, yeah. We saw early and pretty extensive snow cover across Siberia this fall. That really helps build and strengthen the Siberian high. And this strong high does two things. It reinforces those stratospheric effects, kind of sending energy upwards to help mess with the polar vortex. And it guarantees the continental cold, once established, is intense, really intense.
Okay, that's quite the setup. La Nina fading adds volatility, the QBO weakens the vortex, and a strong Siberian high provides the cold anchor. Let's translate this down to the ground. How do these big drivers create different specific hazards in these three regions? They aren't all the same, right? Not at all. Very distinct regional risk profiles. Let's start east, in West Siberia. Think east of the Ural Mountains. This is your classic continental cold reservoir. With that persistent Siberian high dominating, the main risk is just sustained, severe cold. We expect below normal temperatures, probably peaking in intensity around January 2026. Key concerns are extreme frost and, importantly, ground blizzards, the Buran, strong winds whipping up that snow.
Okay, deep, persistent cold and blizzards in Siberia. Now move west into West Russia, the European part. You called it the battle zone.
That's right, because that's where the milder, moist Atlantic air runs right into that brutal Siberian cold, so temperatures, highly variable. They'll likely average out near to below normal overall. But the real danger isn't the average, it's the swings. The critical hazard there is definitely freezing rain ice storms and complex high-impact weather systems, especially during that volatile transition period, late Jan, early Feb, as the La Nina fades. That's the window to watch.
Right, so infrastructure damage from ice is a big concern there. Okay, third zone, down south, the North Caucasus. What's the story there? You mentioned the North Atlantic Oscillation.
Yes, the NAO. When it tends towards the negative phase, which can be linked to these broader patterns, it tends to enhance something called Black Sea cyclogenesis. Basically, storms spin up more actively over the Black Sea.
And that affects the Caucasus, huh?
It sets up a sort of moisture conveyor belt, pulling damp air off the Black Sea and dumping it as snow onto the mountains. So we expect above normal snowfall there. But the main operational headache isn't just the snow depth, it's what happens after the heavy snows. Potential for rapid thaw cycles. And that dramatically increases the risk of avalanches higher up and even flash flooding in the lower elevations.
So really different planning challenges. Siberia, Brace for sustained cold, manage blizzard impacts. West Russia, manage the damage from rapid freeze-off cycles, ice storms. Caucasus, manage heavy snow, followed by potential flood avalanche risk.
Exactly. It highlights the importance of regional specifics. And if you connect this back to the big picture, while January 2026 looks like the coldest month overall, nationally speaking, the greatest volatility, that really sharp, high-impact swing between, say, wet, milder conditions and sudden deep cold that's projected for that late January, early February window, tied to the La Nina fade. So the real challenge for you, for anyone planning, is managing the change, the instability, maybe even more than just the average cold itself.
Managing the change, not just the cold. That's a crucial takeaway. Provides a really clear framework for understanding this complex forecast. Thanks for walking us through this deep dive.